Let me down.
Hey sis, and welcome to the very first episode of the Balanced Woman podcast. I'm Jess Lyles, and I'm so excited to kick this off with you. This podcast is all about reclaiming your time, reclaiming your energy, and reestablishing peace in your life. So if you find yourself juggling with a million different things, whether that's work, family, your relationships, lack of self-care, and just feeling like you're always running on empty, this one is for you. Let's start by keeping it real. Does not mean doing everything perfectly. And a lot of times we think that balance is about having it all together all the time, and that is a lie. True balance is about finding where your priorities lie, what really matters, and setting boundaries and standards around that so that you can put a routine in place that allows you to be consistent. Okay, so there are 3 things that you can do today to establish that balance and peace back into your life. And the first thing that you're going to do is identify your priorities. So I want you to ask yourself, what actually matters to me right now? Not what society says, not what your family says, not what your homegirls say. What do you value? What is the most important thing in this season of life for you? And then you're going to take 5 minutes today and you're going to write down your top 3 priorities, because everything can't be a priority. If everything's important, nothing is important, okay? This is really important because it's going to help you decide where to put your time, where to put your energy. The second thing you're going to do is set boundaries without guilt. This one is a game changer. And as a Black woman, and if you are a fellow Black woman, we struggle quite often with this one. Obviously, it's due to a lot of cultural norms, a lot of things we were taught when we were younger, but even the standards that society has for us is really, really difficult to put in place. And it all comes down to us not wanting to disappoint people, us not wanting to fit the mold, if you will. But saying yes to everything is saying no to yourself. And this is deep, okay? A lot of us say this statement and it's just like, oh yeah, I gotta start saying no and standing on business. It's not just that. You're carrying around all this gunk and nastiness throughout your life that is not gonna be sustainable and you're gonna burn out. Not only that, but I'm thinking about a time where my boundaries sucked and I had no routine, no balance. Everything was a priority for me. My calendar was overbooked, and I would just say yes to everybody and everything, and I would find a way. And I would use all these motivational speeches from YouTube, from people like Eric Thomas or Sarah Roberts to tell myself I'm busy and I'm booked and I'm doing all these things because I'm walking in my purpose, or because this is what people do, they grind. And that is not the case. People prioritize and people are productive based on those priorities that they have. And once they identify what those priorities are, they set the boundaries around it, okay? Because the thing is, once you set those boundaries or parameters in place that align with your values and your priorities, not only will you start to feel better and look better, because the amount of weight I lost was insane, but you'll also find yourself no longer carrying around this mental weight. The level of stress and anxiety that I had when I had so much to do or so much on my plate, and then I look in the mirror and not like what I saw there, it was just I was never winning in life. And people were dependent on me, right? I was full-time. I was working full-time as a manager at the time. So, I'm navigating people's schedules and their needs and what people are calling out and all that. I was in grad school at the same time as a full-time student because I'm crazy. I was getting married, so I was planning a wedding. I was also trying to stay in tune with my friends and my family and all these things. It was so much. I was doing a whole lot for very little reward. I ended up getting hurt at work. I ended up burning out. So then I ended up going without a job for 6 months because of everything piling up, and I just stopped. And it wasn't because I wanted to, it was because I had to. My body gave out, my brain was tapping out. I had no more to give. It is incredibly important for you to identify what your priorities are and set the balance around that. Which leads me right into my third point. You're going to have to set a routine that works for you. I'm a 5 a.m. girly. I tell everybody 5 a.m. is not for everybody. I think actually lately I've been coming more of a 4:30, just because I like having this little time where, yeah, the house is quiet just like that. Love it. Get to have my cup of coffee with my little Kindle because I'm a Kindle girly. And I get to sit back and breathe for a second because that's incredibly important for me and it's what I need to make sure my day is together and I'm not starting out stressed out. But for you, you might be an 8 a.m. girly. Some of you guys work night shifts, so you really have to adjust things. But if I say, hey, this routine works for me, you need to get up at 5 a.m. every day, you're like such a failure. You're going to burn out. And everything else will snowball from there on you not being able to actually achieve your goal. And just to be clear, the goal is for your life to be balanced, okay? Everything else that you have on the side will come. I promise you. I was able to lose weight, actually save money, pay off my car, like all those things that are probably in the background for you on what you need to accomplish right now or what you need to accomplish in 2025. It will come if your routine is in place. So as you're watching the girlies on YouTube and they're getting up at 5 a.m. and they're making their green smoothies or their little shakes, if that's not for you, that's okay. What is for you is what you can do consistently, okay? Because this is where your discipline is going to kick in. So I want you to take a second today and identify one thing that you're going to change, positively or negatively. Really just meaning like, what are you going to put in place or what are you going to take away? You might need to take away your phone at night to stop all that doom scrolling so that you actually get some sleep, okay? Or you might need to include like a midday workout. You might need to go out on your lunch break after you eat with your coworkers and go walk the parking lot. Like there are really small things that you can do that make big impacts on your life. Just as a recap, creating balance isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. Those small shifts are going to lead to those big changes, and you deserve to live a life that's going to look good and feel good. Now, if today's episode spoke to you, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the Balanced Woman podcast so you never miss an episode. This episode is what I like to call a shorty but a goodie. The idea is that we're going to have folks come on and they're going to give you some actionable tips, tricks, strategies. They're going to tell you their stories. They're going to actually pour love and life into you so that we can take you from overwhelmed to organized, okay? We're trying to have you balanced by the end of 2025. So, if you're watching on YouTube, I want you to drop a comment below on at least one area of your life where you feel like you need more balance. I want to make sure we're talking about the things that you actually need. And finally, a little shout out. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram at therapistjess_ for even more tips, tricks, strategies, and motivation. Until next time.